Okay, now I'm recording again. As I just said, please let nobody speak while we're recording. It has to do with privacy laws and it's ridiculous. And it makes the class not as smooth as it ought to be. But if you have a question ever, indicate so. If you're trying to tell me you have a question, I don't see you throw something out and you've got great reflexes. Okay, it'll be back at you before you know it. Okay, seriously, I'll always pause and answer a question. I might say 1 second while I finish a thought, then we'll see what the question is. Okay. Okay, the other thing I've said is that it's a difficult course to pass for most people. And most people kind of ignore the recommendations if they do the optional assessment. And a lot of people get in here without quite having everything, all the mathematics they need. Okay. So 2 things. One, there is an MDE 61 that goes along with this course. But gives you about this much of the course instead of this much. Okay. That can be taken. The only people who've made A's in my section of precalculus in the last 3 or 4 years have been people who've been through that MDE 61 we're taking. Okay. Give you an idea. Then most of the people who diligently do the MDE 61 in precalculus support course do pass this course. Okay. And most of the people who sign up, unfortunately, don't. There are reasons for that. Okay. The reasons for failure in this course: 1, you don't put enough time in. 2, you let AI do the work for you and think you've got the homework done. Okay. Do not do that. It leads inevitably 100% of the time, in my experience, to failure. If your IQ is 160, you can probably do it. You probably remember everything that AI told you. Okay. Don't use AI to do your homework problems. Use the support. Use what we do in class. There are videos. Use what's there. If you want to use AI to learn the stuff, go ahead. Start asking AI questions, but not questions about the homework problem in front of you. AI can be a big help. It can be a great learning tool. Okay. Now, sometimes, it loses its mind a little bit. At one time I'd say, oh, geez, let's go ahead and use Chat GPT. This is over a year ago. I haven't touched AI since. So, okay, make up 20 problems, 20 different problems in the form AX plus B equals C. Where X is X, A, B, and C are randomly chosen integers. Okay. And then in another section, give the solutions. Gave me 20 beautiful problems and 20 solutions, had nothing at all to do with any of the problems. Okay. Now it's improved a lot since then. It's improving scarily fast. Okay. It's going to be part of your life. So if you use it intelligently, it can be helpful. If you use it to pretend to do things you don't know how to do, up and free. Okay. Make sense? Okay. I find this is especially a problem with distance students, and this is not, not a distance course. 80% of them will make 100% on all their homework and 12% on their tests. Tells me something. Tells me they're not doing their homework. Either that or they're way too dumb, and they aren't, okay, to learn the stuff. Okay, they're smart enough to learn the stuff. They're just taking a shortcut. They're getting their homework points. Homework counts. If you cheat, and it is cheating to use AI and to represent somebody else's solution as yours, I don't analyze it because I can't prove it. Okay, but it's only like 10 or 15% of your grade. Now, 10 or 15%, 100%, and the other 85%, 12%. Figure out what your average would be. Okay, nowhere near passing. Okay, so I'll spot you that 15% or 10% or whatever it is. Read your syllabus. Okay, I'll spot you those points. I don't care how you do your homework as long as you succeed, but I do care if you don't succeed. Okay, so I really want everybody to succeed. Do your homework on time. That can be difficult between a Tuesday and a Thursday. Between a Thursday and a Tuesday, usually you'll have like one assignment, or about half as much between Tuesday and Thursdays between Thursday and Tuesday. Okay. Okay. So that's the first thing you got to understand about this course. I'll show you how classes go. We'll do some stuff. Strongly consider the MDE 61. If in a couple of weeks you find that you're not making it in this course, or think you aren't making it, ask me. I'll tell you what I think about your work. I might tell you, I think you could do it. You spend a little more time. You probably don't have time. Okay. And maybe you ought to go to the MDE 61. That means immediately before this course. Now you might have another class before this course. So that might not be possible. There is a distance section of that too. If you do that right, it can be helpful. Okay. So you have options. And of course, you could sign up for the MDE 61 and do this course. You'd be in here for 2 hours. You have that hour free, and be a good use of your time in most cases. And it sometimes happens that people sign up for the MDE 61. I find out after a week or two that, man, you don't need this. Okay. The best pre-calculus student I've had in the last 4 years signed up for the intermediate algebra, the MDE 60. Okay. Started there, did the MDE 61 along with this course. And I knew from the third week of that class that that person could have done the Math 161 and aced it. They went through all the steps. Okay. They didn't need it. Most people didn't really need the MDE 61, but they probably made C's. Okay. It almost always enhances your grade. All right. So there are MDE 61, which you could do well past the drop date. There's a kind of a trailer course that we can get you into, and we can do a few manipulations. That's always possible. So give your best shot at this course. And if it's looking shaky, then get into the MD 61, stay in this course for a while. Or just get into the MD 61 and drop this one if you don't have room in your schedule. We can make that happen for the first, I'm not sure what the time frame is, at least the first 2 weeks. Okay. So you have escape valves. Whatever you do, stick with the math. Okay, do whatever's necessary to get through this course, because it's necessary for your curriculum, or you probably wouldn't be here. Okay. So I want you to graduate in your curriculum. Now, if you find that your curriculum, you just hate your curriculum, and you want to switch your curriculum to something that doesn't require this course, and if you're having a tough time in this course, do what's sensible. And I'll always talk to you about it. If you can't find me during my office hours, email me. We'll figure out a time to talk, or we can communicate by email. Okay. All right. Make sense? Okay. Now in this course, There's homework, there's quizzes. You have homework that's there to prepare you for the quiz that you're going to have at the beginning of each class. Okay? And that together makes up about 15% of your grade. It also tells me what I need to do that day. I make decisions from what I see. I know where we're going. I know how to get there. I've taught this course about 1,000 times. And I can adapt what I'm doing to the need of the class. Okay. There'll be a test in 2 weeks over the stuff that we're going to be talking about in the next couple of weeks, which doesn't involve a lot of algebra, but it does involve a little bit. Okay.
They're very small.
And that test is actually kind of a big quiz. It's one of those things that counts twice as much if you do well on it as it does if you screw it up. It's your chance to make a good grade, to start out the course with a success. Okay, if you screw it up, it's not a good sign. But it's not so many points that you can't recover from. But make that good grade, because I don't never seen anybody who didn't make a good grade in that quiz that passed the course. Okay. You'll have a test probably in about 6 weeks, and then a midterm not too long after that, and a final exam. Those are the things that really determine to a large extent what your grade is going to be. Now, a good homework score can give you a little bit of a boost, bring your grade up. Okay. It's 15% is still 15%. Okay. And 15% at 100% is better than 15% at 2%. Okay. However, you're better off making poorer grades on the homework and doing it in such a way that you learn from it. Your test grades will be much higher than they would be otherwise. Okay, so go back to what I said about how to do the homework, how to use online resources. You can find solutions to all these problems online. You can pare them down. I can tell you're doing it. But I don't police it because I could be wrong. 90% of the time I'd be right, 95%, 98%. But there'd be that 2%. I don't want to mess up somebody's life, that 2%. Okay. Okay. That's pretty much what you need. We'll go over the syllabus one more time Thursday when we have a little more time. I want to dive into the course. So we're going to start with what's on the board. I'm going to do this very, very quickly. Then you are going to get to view the video where I do this all over a period of about 20 minutes. I'm going to do it in about 5 minutes. You might understand it, you might not. Okay. Then I'm going to show you what we do with that. Okay. There are 3 pictures that you need. Okay. Three pictures that you need. I've already circled. They're circled in blue. Okay. Notice each picture has a rectangle. And I happen to make the rectangle square, but you can make it pretty much any shape you want to. Okay. So usually you start with a square, because if you don't have some reason for wanting to make it wide or narrow, probably better to use a square. And we construct this picture, and this picture. Okay. Let's see. In this picture, show me with your fingers, the fingers on 1 or 2 hands, depending on how many it takes. how many you want to use. How many vertical dotted lines do you see in this figure? Just testing whether you understand the terminology. How many vertical dotted lines?
The top one or the bottom?
Vertical is this way, good. Because I confess, I was confused about vertical versus horizontal until we started using the terminology. I mean, I kind of knew that I was vertical. And that if I was playing football, most of the time I was horizontal, but, okay, yeah, there's vertical. Okay, so how many vertical dotted lines do you see? Okay. Okay, a lot of you didn't vote. Try to vote. How many horizontal dotted lines do you see in this picture? Okay, I see four, 1, 2, 3, 4, but depending where you're sitting, it might be hard to see that bottom one, right? Okay, that's okay, just get oriented. So this thing has 3 vertical, 4 horizontal dotted lines. Are the vertical lines equally spaced? Well, they're hand drawn. Are they reasonably equally spaced? Yeah, they're not perfect. And when you draw them, they're not going to be perfect. Okay, but you want them to look like this. Okay, the horizontal lines, are they equally spaced? They're not equally spaced. That distance is a lot bigger than that distance, which is bigger than this distance, which is bigger than this distance. Okay, that's because of the way they're constructed. Make sense? Okay. Okay, well, let's just do this now. I'm just going to say it. You might not pick it up because I'm going to say it fast. You're going to see it. Then when you see it on the videos, you'll understand it better. Okay. And I think the video is already posted to your assignments page. Okay. Let me digress for just a minute. How many of you have done what it said to do in Canvas? Enrolled yourself in Open Math, found the assignments page, and emailed me that you'd found the assignments page. Anybody email me? I don't think I've seen any emails. After you found the assignments page, I want you to email me and tell me. I'll sleep better at night, knowing that you know where to look for these things. Okay? In other words, what it said to do at Canvas, do it, every bit of it, every detail. Okay? And that's one thing that people have trouble with in pre-calculus. They don't pay attention to detail. They don't do the details. So there are details in what you should have done that nobody's done. Although several people have enrolled themselves in the Open Math, nobody's emailed me finding the assignments page. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it. You're going to have to find it. You're going to have to use it. Okay? And if you found it, and you say, here's where I am, and I don't see what I'm looking for, tell me what you do see. Email me. I'll straighten you out. Okay? And I'm happy to do that. I remember being confused. I finally stopped being confused, I think 2 weeks ago. Been confused for a long time. Okay, we start here. We draw a vertical line right through the middle. And then we draw this vertical line halfway from here to here, halfway from the right edge to the middle. And then we draw this vertical line halfway from the left edge to the middle. Now, if I blank all this out and ask you to do that, how many of you could do that now? Without looking at the picture. Okay? Not hard. Okay? Now, there are several things you can do. Okay, what did I do here? Well, I did the same thing I did here, but then I did a line halfway from here to the middle. See? Here's this line. Here it is, halfway from here to the middle. And then I go halfway from here to the middle. Okay? There it is. That's all the vertical lines in this picture. And this is all the vertical lines in this picture. Make sense? Okay. Is that hard? Are you going to be able to do that Thursday when I ask you to construct these? Okay. Well, How about the vertical lines here? Well, they're the same as this, right? So we got three pictures. And they have essentially the same structure. Except this one has fewer vertical lines here than this one or this one. That's no big deal. Okay. Now, horizontal lines. We start by drawing a horizontal line in the middle. See the middle? Horizontal line. Okay. That horizontal line is halfway from the top to the bottom. Right? It's in the middle, it's halfway from the top to the bottom. And then we got a horizontal line here that's halfway from that last line to the bottom, right? A little more than, not quite halfway because I didn't do it perfectly, but it's close enough you can see what's going on. And then halfway from there to the bottom, and halfway from there to the bottom, and halfway from there to the bottom. Now, by the time we've done that last one, because now there are 5 horizontal lines here, if you're sitting anywhere but fairly close, you might have a little trouble seeing this one. Okay. And if I needed to draw 6 or 7 more dotted lines, you wouldn't even be able to get them in there. Your pencil would be too wide because they keep getting twice as close. Okay. They approach this lower line very quickly. So you would have a lot of trouble getting 10 lines. So a great big rectangle, you might be able to get 10 lines in it. Fair enough? Okay. So there are 5 lines here. And what do we have? Here's one where we got those 5 lines. Okay. Here's one where we've only got 4 lines. Okay, so we can leave off that 5th line. And we do want to leave off that 5th line. Okay. And then we have this picture, which doesn't have anything like this. It has this. What's this? Well, this is nothing but this laid on its side. We'll go to the middle with a horizontal line this time, go halfway to the middle. And then from there, we go halfway to the middle, right? And then we start here. We go halfway to the middle. And from there, we go halfway to the middle. Simple, feasible. Feasible, you can come in and do all this within 5 minutes next time, because that's what you're going to be asked to do. And you're going to need to practice it. People think they see it. People think they understand because they recognize a few words and they recognize a few patterns. Okay. And then they come in and they can't do it. Okay. So you probably need to draw these things 5 or 6 times. Not looking at the picture. Okay. In other words, look at the picture, draw yourself a good one, take a good look at it, turn it upside down, and then do it again. Okay, then compare it with the good one. Is it right? Does it have the right number of lines? Are the lines spaced correctly? Does the picture look like one of these? Or does it maybe look like there's enough lines? Got to be precise. So one thing I'm going to ask you to do. That's it. Okay. Be able to construct those. Now I'm going to show you what we do with it, because of course then when you come back on next Tuesday, you're going to have to do. I just had a piece of chalk in my hand. It disappears. I walk away from the board, the chalk disappears out of my hand. Okay, it's the only explanation. Okay. Now, again, all this is explained in that video. It goes for about 20 minutes. If you don't need it, okay, if you understand from what I just said. I went on a little longer than I intended to, but that's what needed to be said. Okay. Now I'm going to draw a graph on each one of these. Okay. The graph I'm going to draw here starts at the upper left-hand corner. And if you can do this next time, after you draw these, I'll probably give you a couple of minutes. Okay, show off. See if you can construct these basic graphs. Okay, these are called toolkit graphs. These are toolkit shapes. And they're the foundation of this course. Okay, upper left-hand corner, over 1, down 2. Over 1, down 2. Over 1, down 2. There are 2 lines between here and here because we're doing 5 lines. And now we get down to this red dot. Okay. Now the red dot is also part of the picture. The red dot goes on the lower edge in the middle for both of these, and it goes right in the middle for this one. See where the red dot is. Focus on that red dot for a minute. Okay. Okay. So anyhow, we go over 1, down 2, we go to there. We go over 1, up 2 here. Over 1, up 2, over 1. Uh-oh. Up 2. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay. We got those 5 points. 7 points. Okay. Now I can draw a nice smooth curve. I don't know what that's called. Don't say it, but you can use your fingers to make the letter if you know. What's that called? It's a parabola. Okay. It's one of the basic shapes. It's got a very specific shape. There are things that look like they might be parabolas that aren't. A parabola has to have specific shape. It has to fit this pattern. Exactly. Assuming that this is drawn perfectly. Okay. And the parabola has a lot to do with things that happen in the real world. Okay. And we're going to see that. For example, you could use a parabola to figure out if you have a business, how much to charge for the widgets you're selling so that you maximize your profit. There's your profit function you can model with an upside down parabola. Okay, that's one example. Okay, vertical construction line. Oh, well, I don't know why I read that. It's not relevant. On this one, we start not at the corner, but at the intersection of the lowest construction line, that would be this one, with the left edge. We don't start down here. Start down here, you get a wrong idea, and civilization collapses or something. Okay? And then the rule is very easy. If you start in the right place, you almost can't miss it if you get the right picture. You go over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1. Then you get a curve that's very easy to draw. This is the easiest one to construct. Okay. Make sense? Okay. Okay. Here. For this one, we draw. Okay. We start again at the left edge. Okay. On the line below the middle. So the red dot is there. We go in the line that's below the red dot, immediately below. Make them here. So we go over 1, down 1, over 1, down. And we stop. Nothing else inside this rectangle. There's plenty of stuff outside the rectangle. This map blows up. You know, if you look at it, it continues on in a pattern that's not too difficult to understand. Okay, and then we start to the right of the vertical center line. First line on the right, we go over 1, down 1, over 1, down 1, and then we draw a nice smooth curve through each set of points, but we do not cross the center. Because what happens if we continue this outside this rectangle, okay? We got more lines. Yeah, we'd have a line, okay. Well, we'd have a line twice as far as this one. Okay? From the center line. If you think about the way this is drawn, and since you haven't drawn them, I don't want to say too much about that because a lot of you won't pick it up. I probably wouldn't have. But we'd go over one and down one, and the down one would be to the line that's halfway between this one and this one. So you get a point down here. And then we keep going over one, down one. These vertical lines would keep approaching the center line, but they never get there. So that this curve never gets to that center line. Right? It never touches the center line because we never get to the center line with this pattern. And on the left, we never get to the center line. So we don't try to connect this point to this point. Okay? And that's because you can't divide by 0, but that gets into this math. Okay? But understand that we never connect this point to this point because we continue the pattern. We just keep going down here, but never get to the center. Okay? Also, we never get to this horizontal line because again, we keep going halfway, halfway, halfway. We never get to this horizontal line. That's a geometric construction of something that your open math will do with numbers and a calculator, which I find ridiculous. I mean, it's okay to do it with numbers, but to use a calculator for the simple numbers that we have is criminal. I keep trying to get these guys prosecuted. I don't know. There's new administration, maybe they'll problem. Seriously, it's not criminal. You know, people that write this monocle math stuff, and it's open. I can write stuff I want to. And they're good people. They do good stuff. I don't particularly like the interface. How many of you have done the introduction to my open math? Everybody needs to do that tonight. Let them know. How long does it take? How many took more than 15 minutes? More than 10 minutes? Maybe around 10? Conceivable somebody could do in 5 minutes? Yeah, but there's some questions there that do throw people because they're a little rusty with their mathematics and you got to understand a little bit about coordinate systems and stuff like that. Okay. But, you know, I see people make 4 out of 7 on that. There's 7 questions. Most people make 7 out of 7. But if you don't, if you get the first 4, you're pretty much okay. It's telling you how to enter stuff into open math. There's some notation things that you might not be familiar with or comfortable with that could throw you off, but do your best, try to get it right. Okay? And you know, those things come up pretty early in the course. You'll understand them when you see them. So I'm not too worried if you don't see them in open math. in the introduction to open math. Okay. All right, so first of all, what I'm asking you to do was just draw these grids. Is that achievable? Think you can do it with an hour's practice? Okay. It takes 2 hours practice for 2 hours. And when I say practice, don't sit there copying. Try it, compare, try it, compare, try it, compare. Then if you have time, get a little ahead of the game and see if you can make these graphs. You know, it's right here in this picture. It's not difficult. And it's something that is going to be a fairly large part of the quiz I want to use in 2 weeks to reward you. Okay? So make sure you're prepared to be rewarded. You get a lot of points fairly easily. Okay, I'm going to pause the video for a second. Okay, we had a good question. It's about 4 lines versus 5. This picture has 4 lines. You don't want 5 lines. Because the rule is you start at the left edge on the lowest construction line. I call these dotted lines construction lines. You don't have to know that now, but that's a terminology I'll use, okay? So if you have 5 lines here, you'd be starting in the wrong place and you'd never get up here. Okay, that makes sense? But here you need 5 lines. Why do you need 5 lines? Because the rule is over 1, down 2, over 1, down 2, over 1. If you don't have this 5th line here, you don't have 1 to skip. Make sense? It's that simple. Okay. And again, if you practice it, and you get ahead if you got time. If you're pretty sure you can draw these, practice drawing. Don't practice too much unless you're pretty sure though. Okay. Because I'll probably ask you in class at some point to, okay, go ahead and construct this one or that one or the other one. Okay. But it won't count, it won't be part of the quiz. Fair enough? The quiz is just going to be draw those grids. Okay. Okay, I do expect you throughout the course to write out your solutions. And on some problems to give a detailed explanation of what you're doing, and I'll give you more information on what that means. And I want you to have that with you in class while you're taking the quiz so I can take a look at it. Okay? Want to get it? Yeah, one thing, I'm right now trying to learn a couple of things that I never had the opportunity to learn before. Before I reach middle age, I want to learn these things. Then I know when I get old, what's going to happen in my mind. But seriously, trying to learn the basics of Einstein's general theory of relativity, which when I was in high school, was reputed to be understood by only 3 people in the world. That's a bunch of foolishness. That was true back 100 years ago. Okay. But as Einstein once said, any reasonably intelligent graduate student should be able to learn. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out if at my age I'm still on the level of a reasonably intelligent graduate. I'm not sure I'm at the level of a reasonably intelligent person walking down the street, but we'll see. It's tough stuff, but I've got the mathematics background, plenty of mathematics background to do it. And classical mechanics. Now, the point about that is, not that I'm trying to learn this stuff, 2 reasons I'm trying to learn it. I find that I'm learning things about the learning process and I reflect and I'm having trouble with this. Okay, my students are having trouble with this. How do you get through that kind of trouble? My level's much higher than yours, no offense. Hopefully yours will soon be higher than mine, but you're not there yet. The thing is, I'm trying to do it in the most difficult possible way, which is without writing anything down. I don't learn well when I don't write things down, and neither do most people. Okay, so I want you writing things down in your notebook. Okay, even if you're copying something in your notebook, and if you're copying it, make sure, okay, I copied this and that. But you want to write it down because it reinforces what you're doing and what you need to be thinking about. Okay? You have more or less maybe an idea of what I'm talking about, but not as good an idea as you'll have when you start really doing it. And it's something you probably haven't had to do in this way in a math course before. And it's got a lot of benefits beyond mathematics because it teaches you what it means to know something, to retrieve it from your memory and so forth. One other thing about AI, a lot of people have the idea with AI, oh, I can look up anything. Well, you can already look up anything. Okay. If you don't have something here, you won't know what to look up. Okay. And that's the basics of it. AI is not going to do your job for you. If AI can do your job for you without you knowing anything, you're not going to have that job. The job's not going to be necessary because AI can already do what a million of you could do in 5 minutes as opposed to your lifetime. Okay? So you want to know stuff. I don't know exactly where AI is going to go and how it's going to come about. But yeah, I had some pretty good conversations with some people that know stuff. And my son-in-law has been at various places around the world spreading his research on AI. Okay. And he's currently living in Greece, keeping his job in Texas. Because there's nobody else at his institution that has anything near his knowledge there. Okay. So even at that, he doesn't know where the heck it's going. And he can do it. I can sit there and watch ChatGPT make up stuff, and I know it's making it up. And it's just a comment. I can look at the really advanced mathematics and physics on ChatGPT. It's getting it right. I ask it to do stuff at the level of this course or at the level of a introductory physics course, and it makes stuff up. So somebody explain that to me, and I'll be happy. I get good, reliable information about the tough stuff. The other stuff, not so great. That'll change, I think. Okay. Let me just ask everybody to got 6 minutes. I'm gonna write down just a little, some mathematical expressions, ask you to figure out what they're equal to. For example, what we did in MDE 6 and 1. Okay, everybody know what this symbol means? Means take a power, right? Raise to the power. It's on your calculator, right? Yeah. Everybody is familiar with that. So what's that equal? What's this equal? And solve this for x. You might not have time in 6 minutes to get through all that, but no, and don't use calculators. Okay, these problems have been posed. So normally what I do is I'll circulate around, see what people are doing with the problems, and I'll solve them, commenting on some of the types of errors that I see, so that everybody should understand if we didn't get everything right, what it was that they didn't, okay? And typically I'll do a lot of that during class. I'll explain something, I'll give you a question, work on it, and so forth, okay? So that's kind of how we'll conduct for class until I decide that we need to do something different. That probably won't happen.